Great. So let's look at the very first tutorial, and this is going to be on vectors, and then variables. So I'm already sharing my screen. So let's look at that as quickly as possible. So I think so. We're going to be looking at data science, and then we'll be adding some various aspects of data science, and then how to apply it. And so, our very first lecture, we want to look at, how to apply some of the algorithms in data science, or where it all starts from. So, when we are talking about data science, we are actually looking at the information that you can extract from a data set. And to be able to do that, you need a programming language, let's say like R or something, or Python, that will help you to be able to extract the information. So to be able to understand this, we need to have basic knowledge of R, and that will be able to help us to be able to analyze our data and get whatever information that we want. So this is our very first time, or our very first tutorial, and then I will be starting with data variables and then vectors. So we'll proceed from there, and then that is going to help us a lot. If when we get our programming quite beautifully, then any kind of data analysis that you want to do, it become easy for you. So I'm already sharing my screen. Let's go ahead and then. So at the moment, let's assume that we need to, you can see, this is my R Studio. But if you don't have R Studio installed on your computer, there are other ways that you can also have it. So today we are going to be looking at how to, so this is R Studio in clouds. This is also another way to get R Studio. If you don't know how to have R Studio in clouds, it's very simple. So I'm going to come here. I'm just going to type R Studio, R Studio in clouds. As you can see, it's already there. I'm just going to enter, and then although we'll Google for R Studio in clouds. Okay, I think like this. So it should be able to open up a new link for you. So you can see I have R Studio Clouds. I also have POSIT R Studio. So this is the platform where R Studio is hosted in clouds. So simply come and click on this. If you don't have an account, it will require you to create an account. Pass your internet is, you'll be able to get it. R Studio in clouds, you cannot work with it without. So you can see, because I have already created, I already have my R Studio in cloud. It only tells me. So when you come to your R Studio in clouds, you're going to have something like workspace. You can create as many workspaces as possible. So you can see vacation data science tutorials. This is a workspace I've created. That is what I'm going to be using for the rest of the R Studio that what is it, or the rest of the data science class we're going to be having. So you can create new ones if you want. You can create a new space from here, and then under the spaces that you have, you can also create a project. As you can see, I have R Studio project, which is here. So I'm simply coming to click on this, and then it's opening that my workspace for me, and that opens to, it tells me that I have successfully logged in. Like I'm saying, you need to have accounts with that. If you don't know how to do it, you can just let me know. I'll show you how to use R Studio. So this is R Studio in clouds. As you can see, I have a project which is here. It's untitled. I have not saved it. I can actually close it if I don't need it, or if I need it, then this is my R Studio. This particular R Studio is not seated on my local computer. It's seated on clouds. So you can do whatever you want, and then you download your information out of the cloud, and then you use it. So I'm going to be using this particular space quite long. And those of you, if you're going to have a problem with RStudio, installing RStudio or RBase on your computer, follow this pattern and you're good to go. Another advantage of using RStudio in clouds is that you always have the latest version of R. So as you can see, we have 4.4.1. What I have on my local computer, you can see it is 4.4.0. And so that is why the RStudio in cloud is always better. And so you always have your latest version. So that is it. Now, if you are new to R, so I have my panels. I can actually shift any of the panels, like if I want. I can shift this one whichever way that I deem it fit. I can shift this panel to up and down. You simply bring your cursor to it, and when it changes to arrows both sides, you press your mouse, hold it downwards, and then you can do that. This particular space too, I was thinking of if I could narrow it up. The RStudio in cloud, if you create your accounts, anytime you open to it, you can see this is my name, which is here because I have accounts with them. So let's look at basically what is data variables and then vectors in R. So if you have your R like this, like I have here, this is untitled. If you want to create a new script, it's simple. Press Ctrl, Shift, and N. Ctrl, Shift, N. It should open a new script for you, and then you are good to go. Trying to open that, but so let me get back to where we were. So this is my new RStudio, which I have here. I'm trying to, so you can also come to File, go to New, then you come here, and then so it will create a new script for you. So you can now see I have untitled 1, have another untitled 2 here. To save it, come and click down here. So it is simply going to ask you the name. And when you save it, is to save as a project. So we can say first tutorial, or I can call it vacation underscore tutorial. And then when I save it, so you can see it has been changed. Now the script name is vac underscore tutorial.r. If I wanted this particular script to, you can simply come and click this blue button down there. It will require you to give it a name. Then you can also give it, let's say, the project already exists, so you can give it a different name, let's say, or something like that, and then you save it, and then you are good to go. So if you click on this, you have that script. Click on that, you have that script. This white window is called the script panel. Below here is called console. This place, as you can see, is called environment. And down here is what we call the plot panel. That's where when you plot everything, you see it over here. And then you are good to go. Now, here, let's look at the first thing you need to know is R programmer, it works with lines. So immediately you open the script, you have 1 here telling you you're on line 1. If you tap on your enter key, you should see as many. So these are the lines that we have created. You can create the lines up to the number that you want. That's the first thing. Now, when you type anything on this line, it is just a text. For instance, if I just type, let's say, 34, it's just nothing. It's a text. But for it to become a code, you need to run it. So if I come here and click on this on this run, you will see the results down here, 34, and then you will see another 34 in blue. The one in blue tells you that whatever that you wrote here, and then you run it, it was successful. It's here, and that is it. So we've committed it to our memory, and it. Now, there are some basic syntax that we need to know when we're doing with R. You can write a text, you can write a code. When you are writing only a text, which is called comment, so you start with hashtag. So the hashtag, we are going to create like a topic. So we're going to say data variables. So at this point, these data variables are typed is a comment. Because it starts with hashtag, R doesn't see it as a code. So it's just a comment. So if you're writing any comment or any topic, you always start with hashtag. Comment it out to tell R that that is not a code, it's a text. So we are starting with data variables. So when we come here, what is a variable? A variable is simply a memory that you create that can hold your data. In ordinary mathematics, we have something called, let's say, x. You can say x is equal to 23. So in R, when we say write R x is equal to 23, we have assigned 23 to x. So x now become a variable. So if I come here and I if I allow my cursor to be blinking there, I come here and then I run it. I have given 23 to x. The next time when I type only x and then I run it, you should see that it will print 23 for me. If I now want to add anything, let's say 23 plus 3, instead of typing 23 again, I will just say x plus 3. So I'm simply adding 3 to 23. The answer should be what? 26, as you can see in the console here. But then it appears our text is quite small, so let's increase it. To increase the font size in R, you click on Tools, go to Global Settings, go to Appearance. So you can see font size here. Increase it to 12, and then maybe that's about that. That's fine. We can come here and also increase it to 12. I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. So we can come here and say add. Then apply, or we just say okay. And that's it. So it should increase our font size more. So we have created a variable like that, which is x. You can create another variable, let's say y, and then is equal to, let's say, 44. Then we can create another variable, let's say z, then we can say is equal to 65. These are variables. Now we have given 23 to x, 44 to y, and 65 to z. Now x, y, and z are variables. So now let's come here and then show something. Best practices in creating variables. Now in R, when you are creating a variable, there are some best practices you need to follow. A variable must not start with a number. For instance, you cannot say 1x and then you use and then assign it to this. Let's say 23. You cannot do this. If you run it, you will see an error. There are unexpected symbol. You can do that. So the best practice is that all variables start with alphabets. So you have x, If it is x1, you add 1 to it. That one, there's no problem. We run that, it is there. Second way, you can also say x dot 1 is also accepted. Let's say assign that to 22. You see that one to x. You can also say x underscore 1, or let me put it 2, anything. Then you use equal sign, let's say 44, run it, then that is also okay. Now you cannot say x dash 1. When you do this, it is unaccepted. So let's say I'm assigning 33 to it. Then when you run this, it will throw an error. Why? Because I see x dash 1 to mean a mathematical operation, which means x minus 1. So it's not a variable, it is a mathematical operation. So this is unaccepted. So you either use underscore or use point or anything. Now, variables, you can give it any name. I can give my own name, like big, and then I can assign it to anything. And then it is good to go. I can assign it to, let's say, 66. And then if I run it, it is fine. So these are the various ways of creating variables. You can give it any name, and then you can add a number to it to mean, let's say, the first one, the second one. But the number, it must not start. Second, now let's look at another best practice in creating variables. We'll call it assignment operator. Assignment operator. What are the operators? Variables. What is an assignment operator? It is a symbol that you use to assign a value or an object to a variable. So let's say I have a variable called DG. I can use, one of the ways to assign it is using equal sign. I can use equal sign here, and then I can assign 12 to it. This is accepted. This is what we call equal assignment operator. Another way, I could have said DF, then press your alternate key down and press dash on your keyboard. It will give you this funny symbol, less than and dash. It is called left assignment. So you can do, let's say, 24, and when you run it again, you have assigned 24, which is a value, to the variable, which is df. It is called left assignment. Now let's say I have fg, that's my other symbol. You can also do right assignment. In that case, I have 78. So I can simply put my dash first, press your shift key down and greater than, then give it to fg. When you run it, it is also assigned. You have assigned 78 to fg. This is called right assignment. This is also accepted. Now, in best practice, stick to this, the left assignment. Then you are good to go all the time. Always stick to this. To be able to get this operator here, press alternate key on your keyboard and then press dash. You will always get it. Now, what you cannot do during assignment operator, this less than sign and dash, there must not be a space between them. Right. For instance, let's say I have AA, and then I do like something like this. If I assign it to 37, that's fine. But if I allow a space between them, and then you run it, it will simply give you a conditional statement. You are simply saying that AA is less than minus 37. So it is no longer a variable you have created. It is now a mathematical operation. Get that? So this is how we create variables. It's very important. Learn how to do it and the best practices. Let's look at how to deal with vectors. Some of the things, as we go on, they will come naturally and then you get it easy. So let's say creating vectors in R. What is a vector? A vector is simply anything that has a magnitude and it has a direction. For instance, I just showed you some few variables that I have. So if I have, let's say I have a variable I want to create, W, and then I want to assign, let's say 23 to it. It will assign just easy. What about if I want to assign more than two values? For instance, I am creating a variable called WE or EW, and I want to assign, let's say 23 and then 45 to it. Let's run it and see what will happen. You see, it's going to throw an error. You can see an error on the console. Tell you that unexpected symbol. The reason is that you cannot assign more than one value to a variable, just like the way we have, with only comma separating them. So to be able to assign more than one value, we have to combine the values. And to combine the values, we use a function in R called combine function. So if I come here, the same EW, and I wanted to assign 23 and 45 to it, I have to use a function called combine. So I'm combining more than one value or more than one object. So because I am combining more than one object, you use a function. The function is called combine function. So you use C. The C stands for combine. Press Shift and 9. It will open and close the bracket for you. So now when you put 23 there inside and you put 45 there, now when you run it, you have no problem. It means you have combined the two objects and assigned it to one variable, which is here. So what we have here, the whole of this is called a vector. And that's what I want us to pay attention to. That's a vector. So we've assigned a vector to this. Now, if we want to see EW, you can just put EW here, then let your cursor be by it, then run it. It will print 23 and 45 for you. Now, when you see this square bracket and then 1, it tells you that that is the index. I will come to indexes and then you will see how that works. So that's how we create a vector. You can have a unit vector. You can have a unit vector means it has only one entry. You're good to go. And that's how it is. You can have vector of numbers, vector of characters, then a vector, vector of numbers and a vector of characters, vector of numerals and whatsoever. So now, if we understand the vector like this, you can only assign one value to a variable. But if you are assigning more than one value or object to a variable, you have to use a function. So, and when you use the function, the whole of this is a vector. And because you have assigned a vector to a variable, the variable too becomes a vector. And then you are good to go. Now, let's look at something here. let's say I have DAF, that's my variable name, and then I am assigning a vector of, let's say, 3 numbers. So I will start with C, Shift and 9 on your keyboard. Then I have, let's say, have 12, have 13, have 20, 34, I have 56, and then that is all. If I assign it, this variable is a vector of this. Now, how do we identify the things here? What we have here is called a variable, followed by an assignment operator. The C here is a function. Then what we have inside here are objects. They are objects. So please get to know this. This is a variable. This is assignment operator. So assignment operator, and that's a left assignment operator. C here is a function. It is called combined function. Then whatever is inside the bracket is what we call object. Now, there are instances whatever you have inside is called object. There are sometimes we call them argument. I'll get to where we have object and argument, you get the difference. Now just get this. Because this is a vector, and the vector is made of numbers, it is called, so I'm going to say it is called, that's a vector of numbers. That's all. You see that I put hashtag and I added vector of numbers, then you are good to go. Now, we can also create a vector of characters. Let's say I have so I'm going to just say sha, which will mean character. I'm going to put, and then let us assume that I want to assign a character to the variable called sha. Arrow was created for numbers. So if you're going to assign a character, you have to put the character in double quote. So let's say I want to assign a character called A. You have to put the A in double quote in order to be able to do that. So when I run this, you see A has now been passed on to this variable called sha. If I now run the variable, you should see that it will print A for me. And then that is all that I'm talking about. Same way, if you want to create a vector of characters, more than one, you have to use the same combine function. So let's say I have vector underscore characters. That's my variable name. I bring my assignment operator, but because I'm going to create more than one vector of characters, I'll use combine again. C, Shift and press 9 on your keyboard. It will open and close the bracket for you. But remember, they are characters, so they must all be in double quotes. So I have this. I can put the A, come out, separate it with comma. I have this. I can put that place. Let's say F. I can come there, double quote again. I can put the, let's say, my name or something. Then I can come out. Then another double quote again. I can put another name there. Let's say Amma. Then in that order. If I run this, then I have created a vector of characters. So if I print the vector again, you should see the characters being printed around here. And that is what we mean. So we have vector of numbers. So this one is vector of what? Characters. So let's identify it. We're going to do this. Call it a vector of characters. This is how we are able to create a vector of people names, the names of something and whatsoever. and then we are good to go. Now let's create another vector here of let me say of characters 1. Then I'm doing my assignment operator. I'm going to create more than one, so I'll bring this here. This is 22, but if I put it in double quote, see the color changed to, so let's say 34. Then I have, let's say 27. So even though they are numbers, but when they are in double quote, they are seen as characters. So when you run this, they will be seen as what? Characters. And then that's how it is. If you want to verify whether they are characters or numbers, you can always come and use a function called class. Then put the variable name, which is vector underscore this. This is one here. Then run it. It will tell you that it's a what? A character, as you can see down here. If you check the other one, this one here, it also tells a character. But if you check this, if you find the class of this variable, it will tell you that it's a number or numeral. So we can come there, we could have just enter there and say class of DFF and then run it. We say that it's numeric, so they are numbers. And then that's how it is. I will come to how to be able to check all those things. Now, if you want to know whether what we have here are vectors or they are not, so let's say structure. Use structure and then put any of the variable names there. Run it. So it tells you that it's a character, but a character, maybe I could have used type of, then put, then run that, then it tells you that what is a character at the same time. So mostly, okay, so now we have seen how to create variables, how to create vectors. And then now, if you have your vectors and then your characters, or if you have your variables and then your vectors, from now on, I will not be talking about variables. I'll be talking about vectors throughout. So how do we apply mathematical operation on a vector? All right. How to apply mathematical operations on a vector. So I'm going to say mathematical operators on vectors like this. So now let's create a vector. So I have, let's say I have vector 1 here. So I'm going to assign, so if I do this 1 is to 20, I'm simply telling arrow that I want 1, 2, 3 up to 20. So I'm assigning it to vector 1. So let's say I have vector 2, and then I'm assigning, let's say 21 to 40. I've created 2 vectors. Now, how do we apply all the mathematical operations on them? Let's assume that I want to add vector 1 to vector 2. So simply come here. So this will be addition of vectors. But that, let me create another vector here called vector 3. And then in that case, we're just picking from 3 all the way to 9 around that. I've just created them. So now we are going to look at how to addition of vectors. So if I say vector 1 now, I run it. You see that it prints 1 to 20, as we can see here. When the console is congested, come and brush it. So here, when we run it, you see it print 1 to 20. Now let's say, so I want to add vector 1 to vector 2. So you just put plus over there, and just say 2. So it will add the two of them and give you the answers. So you can see it has added to the two vectors and gave us the answers. First of all, it will give you the code, then the results, as you can see here. What about if we want to say vector 1, vector 1, then if you want to do multiplication for this, times vector 2, run that. Have you seen what has happened? What can you make from this? Can you deduce something from here? So let me show you something easy. Here, let me print only vector 1 and you see this. Print only vector 2. Now, I'm multiplying vector 1 and 2. Now, have you seen here 21, 44, 69, 20. So can you see the pattern of how vector multiplication is done? The first value is multiplied by the first value in the other vector. Second to second, third to third, fourth to fourth, in that order. The same way addition is done. Now, if we want to do multiplication, okay, in that case, let me just copy this, make it easier. I think this was supposed to be multiplication. Multiplication of vectors. So now let me look at the addition of vectors. So we run this one first. So let me clean this part. And then we got our answer. So let's assume that. So I have vector 1 here. And I'm going to say plus 3. Run it and see what will happen. 3 will be added to all of them. 3 will be added to every single. 3 will be added to the first number, the second number, up to the 20th number. The last one, 20, is now 23. The same way, if we have vector 1 and I subtract, let's say 5 from it, 5 will be subtracted from all of them. What about if I have vector 1 here and then I add 1 is to 5? Check this properly. I am adding 1, 2, 3 up to 5 to 1, 2, 3 up to 20. Pay attention here and see something. Let me run it once more. See. 1 plus 1 will give us 2. 2 plus 2, 4. 3 plus 3, all the way up to 10. Then you have 7, 9, all the way up to, you know what it is doing? What it has done is this. So it picks what we have here, 1, 2, 3 up to 4, up to 5, and add it to 1, 2, 3 up to 5 here. After that, it will come and pick the same 1, 2, 3 up to 5 and come and add it to 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And after that, it will come and pick the 1, 2, 3 up to 5 and come and add it to all up to this place. That is exactly what we have done here. That simply means that when you are adding a short vector to a longer vector, it adds a shorter vector in succession. The same way, if you are doing multiplication, it will the same way to multiply it in succession. 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 4 to 4, 5 to 5. After that, to come and pick 1 to 6, 2 to 7, 3 to 8, then 4 to 9, and then 5 to 10. Then in that order. That's all that I wanted you to pay attention to here. Then the same way, if you are done subtraction, it will work the same way. Multiplication to done the same way. Division the same way. Then in that order. If you understand the whole of this, if you understand the whole of that, now when we come to multiplication of, is the same. Let's just change the multiplication sign there, run it. That's what you're going to get. 3 will be multiplied to each of them. Sorry, they'll multiply each other, and then in that order. So if you put here multiplication, you're going to get the same thing. 3 will multiply across all. Same way subtraction. If you put multiplication 2 here, the same way 5 will go through all. If you put multiplication 2 here, the same way it will multiply in succession, then in that order. So that is how it works. If we go to, let's say, the same, okay, this was multiplication. If we had gone to subtraction, it will be the same. Division, it will be the same. For instance, I'm copying the whole of this and come here, hashtag, and do my hashtag. I think my internet is failing me. So I'm going to have multiplication. So I have division. Division of vectors. If I come here and paste it, everything, / is the same as division in R. So if you put here, and then I'm going to put it there. I'm going to put here. You can leave spaces between them just to make your work neat. I'm here like this. So clear this place, brush it off. Come here, we are dividing vector 1 by, so you can see it's going to give us, so let's say we are dividing vector 1 by 3. So 3 will be divided by all of them, as you can see. The same way with 5, and the same way with this. It will divide in succession, then in that order. 1 divided by 1 will give you 1, and in that order. What is left is subtraction, which we can easily do. But there's one mathematical operation in R which is not found in the ordinary mathematics, which we call number base or modulus. So let's say, so I'm going to say modulus in R. In that case, we are looking for a remainder, like ordinary number base. So I'm pasting this. And for modulus, we do percentage. In R, when you see this, we're talking about modulus, like number base. When you have 2 percentages, you are not looking for the divisible, you are looking for the remainder. So here, when we come here, we are looking at the modulus of vector 1 and vector 2. So let me brush this off, see something. So we are dividing 1 divided by vector 1. Let's run vector 1, run vector 2. Okay, so 1 divided by 21, it cannot. So maybe let me change to 2, change this one to 1, and let's see what will happen. I'm brushing this off. You see, if we now print this, So we're going to have 21, 22, all the way to 40. Print this. So 21 divided by 1, it will give you what? 21, remainder 0. That's why you have 0 here. 22 divided by 2, what is it going to give you? Maybe 11. Remember what? 0. That's why you have 0 on top here. Here we have 23 divided by 3. Then we are going to have 7. The remainder, let's say 2. Okay? So that's why you have 2 here. What it simply means is that in modulus, you are looking for a remainder. In programming, we use modulus to be able to check whether a number is even number, is odd number, or whatsoever. If I divide any number by 2 and the remainder is 0, it's an even number. So that's why we have that. So we are dealing with remainders here, not so the same way, and then the same way, and then in that order. Check in that order. So this is basically how we are able to apply simple mathematical operation with vectors in vectors. I'll leave it here, and then we'll continue again, and then I will show you how to. But let me quickly show you this: how to extract data from vectors. Extraction of data from vectors. All right. So if you have a vector and you want to extract, we also call this subsetting. You are picking just a section of the vector, not everything. And let's assume that I have vector 2. This is what we have: 21 to 40. But let's say I'm not interested in all of that. I am interested in only the last 3 numbers. That's 38, 39, and 40. How do I extract only that? In extraction, we use what we call the index function. You have your vector here too. Then this square bracket is called index function. It is used to identify positions of values or objects in programming. So if I put 5 here, it's going to check all the numbers. The first one is index number 1, second index number 2, index number 3, index number 4, and index number 5. So if I want to print only 25, 25 is in the 5th position. So you put 5 here. So that way, it will print what? Only 25 for me. That's what we call extraction. You are not interested in all the data. You just want a small section of it. What about if I wanted to extract 25, 26, 27? Because the positions are in sequence, they are following each other. I'll come here and say vector 2, bring your index function. Then 5 will be the 5th value. Then you now use your is2. This column is called is2 in programming, R programming. So 5 is to 7. So we're looking for the 5th position, 6th position, and 7th position. We run that, it will print 25, 26, and 27. That's how we subset. What about if I wanted to subset numbers which are not in series? Okay, they are not in a particular order. Okay, let me use something like this head and put vector 2. So if it's going to work. Now, another way of doing subsetting, we use a function called head or tail. If I want to print the first 6 values of a particular vector, I'll use head. If I want to print the last 6 values, I'll use tail. So if I put tail here, I put vector 2, it will print the last 6. So you can see, print the last 6 values for me. But what about if I wanted the first 8 values? First 8. I'm not interested in the entire object. I'm interested in the first 8 or 9. So I'm going to put head, then put the vector name there, comma, and then put what? 8. You are simply saying that you're extracting the first 8 values. So it printed the first 8 values for you, as you can see down here. The same way you could use for tail. So if I have, let's say, tail, and then I could say vector 2, and then I could say 10. I'm looking for the last 10 values of the vector. So to print the last 10 from 31 to 40. What about if I want to extract objects or values of the vector which are not in order? They are not following each other. So I could say that this is the vector. I bring my index function, but I want to print the 24, which is on the fourth value. I want to print 29. I want to print 36. See that they are not in sequence. So if they are not in sequence, you use another vector. So you use combine. Sorry, here. You use combine here, C, like this. Then you select all those positions. So I want to print the number on the 7th position, the number on the 11th position, and the number on the 16th position. So you see they are not in the same. So you use your index function first. Within the index function, you use a vector to select those values which occupy those positions but are not in sequence. And then to print those for you. So we'll do this so that it will print 27, 31, and 36 for us. And this is how we do extraction of vectors. It's very, very important. Now, let's say that this was the vector of the class score of your students, 20. You wanted to increase the marks of the last 10 by, let's say, 30. What will you do? Can you think about it for a minute? See, data science is much more of intuition. You use your own intuition. So you want to increase the marks of the last three students by 30, which means you want to increase their marks by 30. Here is the vector. Or let's say I said that if you want to print the last, you use tail. I have tail, I have the vector 2, but I'm not interested in, if I use tail alone without specification, it will print the last 6, but I'm looking for the last 3, so I'll just do 3. This one, it will print only the last 3. See, this is the last 3. But this last 3, I wanted to increase their marks by 30. So after I've selected those values, this is the last 3, I will simply come and put plus 30. 30 will add to each of them. Now run that and you see that it has increased everything by 68, 69, and 30. I will continue the video. I will continue from here and I'll show you how to be able to manipulate vectors in programming. Thank you. See you some other time. Bye-bye. Okay, so we'll leave it here and we'll meet again. Thank you.